Hey, what's up, guys? So this is gonna be my very first little review, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk about some television and some movies I've been checking out. First up was Walking Dead, which aired Sunday, and it was a decent episode. It wasn't anything great or spectacular. It was basically a build-up episode, and that's kind of disappointing based on how good last week's episode was. Basically, the highlight of this episode was the one zombie getting killed, the one that was stuck in the well, which basically got split apart, and that was just really cool looking. And everything else was just kind of blah. Although you did get at the end, you got the big reveal of Lori being pregnant, which for a lot of people who are fans of the comic book already saw it coming. But I think it's a pretty good way to end the show. But next week's episode looks a lot better because they tease that maybe Merle will finally show up. Although I'm kind of doubting it because if you look at the preview, you see Merle. He looks exactly like he did when he first disappeared. So it's like, okay, so it's been how many weeks or months, and he hasn't changed appearances at all. So it's kind of doubtful. It might be just like a hallucination that Daryl or someone's having. And also, I think they're kind of dragging out this whole Sophie being lost thing for too long. I mean, it's getting kind of boring now. It's at the point where it's like you're kind of hoping that they actually find the girl dead at this point, just so they can move on to the next story. All in all, though, it was a good episode, but just didn't really live up to the hype of the last week's episode. I give it a 6 out of 10. Just not really something I enjoyed, or I wouldn't recommend watching if you're a new person to the series. You know what I mean? It just wasn't that great. Let's get to something really good, which was Dexter this week. I finally got to watch it today, and this season is becoming my new favorite season since season 4. Between the killer, that is the Doomsday Killer, which is the professor guy, and Travis, just continually making an interesting story, and really it makes you fascinated about what their whole background is, what their story is. And that's one thing that Dexter's always been really good at. The TV show's been really good at is making these very interesting villains and serial killers that Dexter hunts down. Again, this also they continue the whole storyline of Quinn being a total douchebag. I gotta say, I really hope that Dexter kills that guy or something, because I'm really sick of him. I mean, I get he's supposed to be the replacement for Dokes, but where Dokes was kind of funny in the way he was a douchebag to Dexter, Quinn's just a douchebag because he's like the douchebag from high school. He's just not entertaining, really. And it's kind of, makes me not like the character at all. But, oh no, he's like a troubled guy, I guess. I don't know. I'm just not really a fan of Quinn ever, so. But the main thing in this episode was the whole Brother Sam being shot and Dexter trying to look for his killer, and I thought that was a very good story about Dexter trying to get revenge for something he believed he caused. And I'm not gonna spoil. Well, I guess I better spoil who did it. Actually, it was the guy who Sam been trying to help, the Nick guy, and basically Sam told Dexter hey, I know it was him, but you gotta forgive him, and let it go, let that light be inside you. So Brother Sam actually did die, which was very depressing because Brother Sam was such a good character and was a really good character for the Dexter show. I mean, Dexter really needs that character to help change him, and not I don't know, like in past seasons you've had characters that encourage Dexter to be himself around. And Brother Sam was like that, but he encourages Dexter to move on past the darkness. Let the light be inside him. Let him be a good guy instead of this, killer. Which he didn't know that, but he just, he's talking about the darkness inside him. He wants Dexter to forget about it and move on. And so it was kind of sad to see Sam go, just because you don't really know what would happen if Sam had stuck around longer. Maybe Dexter would have changed. But basically, at the end of the show, Dexter ignores what Sam says and murders this guy very brutally. And actually, it was a very good scene. And basically saying out loud that there is no letting me. He's Dexter's basically admitting the fact that he's a killer and it's always going to be a killer. And then the biggest reveal of the show, which was the person that was standing there watching Dexter, his hallucinations, his little passengers he sees, how he sees his dad. It wasn't his dad; it was Brian, his brother, which was just a really great, wow, they're going this way moment. And I was really impressed with it because, for fans of the show that have watched it since season 1, this is a great, like, oh, yeah, they're bringing this guy back. Because I've always liked the Brian character. I thought he was a great character, and I thought that we missed a lot of chances for him and Dexter to interact and kind of see where their relationship would go. Now, granted, Brian's dead, but still, like, the whole personality of Brian still kind of lives inside of Dexter as, like, this is what Dexter could have been if it hadn't been for Harry. This is how Dexter could have acted. And so it was really, it's going to be really interesting to see. And the next episode looks like it's going to be amazing. I'm basically, it looks like Dexter, they're going to try to finally wrap up this whole Trinity killing thing with the son, like kind of acknowledging what happened was the family. And it looks like Dexter might be going full on darkness, like he's just embracing the darkness with Brian's help. And gotta say, really looking forward to it. I give this episode this week, though, a solid 8.5. I loved it. I thought the ending was great. But again, I'm very sad to see Sam go, but I understand that he kind of served his purpose. Maybe they'll bring him back as Dexter's passenger or something like that, like kind of like what they do with Brian and Harry, Dexter's dad. So, looking forward to it. I guess now I'll talk about a movie right now. Saw Paranormal Activity at midnight showing back a few weeks ago. And for fans of the series, you know the story about it. You know how they do it with like the handheld cameras and everything. And for me, Paranormal Activity 3 was a great movie. It was everything you expected to be. It was a scary movie. It was suspenseful, and it was just a good movie to go to see and get the shit scared out of you. I will say though that it was a much better than the second one. The second one just kind of lacked the suspense because of the fact that you weren't seeing it from the point of view of the camera. You were seeing the security cameras, and I think that kind of made the audience feel more distant from like the scares, and really kind of made the scares less effective. This one much better because of the suspense. One of my favorite little things they had was, this takes back in 1980 whatever something, so 1980 something, and they had this thing where the boyfriend of the mother took a camera and put it on top of a fan, and it would just like pivot back and forth across the living room, and like that made some very suspenseful moments in the movie. I'm not going to spoil them because they're just that good, but highly recommend you see this if you're a fan of the series. I loved it since the first one. I thought the first one was amazing just because of how they played off this as being found footage and really suckered you into believing that this was found footage and this was authentic and just well done. This movie, not quite as good as the first one, but I think if you're a fan of the series, you're going to like it. If you're not a fan of the series, you're probably not going to, become a fan based on this one alone. But I highly recommend this for anyone who likes the series or is interested in paranormal stuff like that. But I highly recommend. I give it a 7 out of 10. Worth going to see. Worth your money. And the last thing I'm going to do is a DVD review, which I got Attack of the Block a few weeks ago, and finally got around to watching it a week after I bought it because I put it off for so long. And I gotta say, I'm disappointed that I waited this long to watch it because it is so good. This movie was described by some people as this year's District 9, which I kind of take it as it means that this is a lesser-known movie that really should be known by everyone. And it's true, this movie is fantastic. It's by the same studio that the producers that brought you Shaun the Dead, which was one of my favorite movies of all time. It's basically Goonies meets Gremlins, which is a bunch of troublemaking kids accidentally stumble upon an alien invasion in their neighborhood, and basically they're trying to, survive from these aliens. And it's a weird plot, but it's so well done. The acting is amazing. These kids in the movie are all unknown actors, all from London. So they're basically like all local drama students, and they did a great job. They're all very, very interesting characters. You only get to really get to know like 3 of the main characters, though. The other kids are just kind of there, not really anything special happens to them. But the characters you do meet are very cool, and actually have some interesting characteristics to them. But this thing is very well written. It's funny. It's got that good action. It's got good scares. It's got everything you want in a good movie. Highly recommend this. The only thing that could cause some problems for some people is there is a bit of a thick accent. It's a movie based in South London, and so these kids talk with a very, very thick South London accent. But as the movie gets on, probably halfway through, you won't even recognize the accent. You'll just kind of be able to follow along what they're saying. and I don't think it affects too much, but you just really have to pay attention. You can't just like be listening out of one ear and doing something else or whatever. But highly recommend it again. It is probably my favorite movies I've seen this year, just because it's a classic movie. It's got a little bit of everything, and it just makes it that much more entertaining. Definitely recommend you go out there and check it. Go rent on Netflix, go rent it at Blockbuster, go buy it if you want to. But absolutely, you guys check this movie out. Attack the Block. I give it an 8.5, and definitely recommend you see this movie. And I guess that'll be it for now. I'll probably post another video tomorrow doing wrestling reviews, but I wanted to get this one out here just for non-wrestling fans and just get some thoughts. Alright.